Ghosts in uniform, the hauntings of Fullwood Barracks and the Cambridge Military Hospital. These are tales from whispers from the Vale. The ghost who took aim, Fullwood Barracks, and the haunting of Private McCaffrey. At the edge of Preston, behind stone walls and iron gates, and Fullwood Barracks, a place soaked in military tradition. It has stood since the 1840s, its history echoing with the disciplined rhythm of marching boots and the chilled whispers of the dead. Like many institutions, Fulwood has its ghosts. More than one, in fact. Some speak of a troop of phantom Roman soldiers that silently tramps through the parade square, following a path of the ancient Roman road buried beneath the ground. But there is one ghost whose name is spoken with unease, a troubled young man whose story is etched in both official records and in song. This is the legend of Private Patrick McCaffrey. It began on Friday the 13th of September 1861. Private Patrick McCaffrey was only just 19 years old. Born in County Kildare in October 1842, he had a difficult start in life. After his father, who was once an asylum governor, when his father left for America and Patrick was sent to live in Moseley near Manchester, he worked in cotton mills from the age of 12, drifting in between jobs in Moseley, Liverpool, and Stalybridge. Before enlisting in the army in 1860, he joined the 32nd Regiment of Foot and was stationed at Fullwood Barracks, training with the 11th Depot Battalion. But army life did not suit McCaffrey. He was a loner, a poor soldier, and he was frequently in trouble. Attention focused on two men. One, a Colonel Hugh Crofton, a decorated Crimean War veteran who commanded the 20th Regiment through the battles of Elma, Sevastopol, and Inkerman, and the other, a Captain John Hanman, the adjutant. The wounded veteran of the Sea Corps, Hanman was known at Fulwood for his iron discipline and rigid enforcement of regulations. Even Crofton seemed to bend to Hanman's will. Two men like Caffrey. Hanman was a tyrant. On Friday the 13th, McCaffrey stood at sentry outside the officers' quarters. Hanman ordered to take the names of local children suspected of breaking windows. McCaffrey obeyed, but only half-heartedly. He failed to gather the names, and as punishment, Colonel Crofton sentenced him to 14 days confined to barracks. It was a small disciplinary matter, but something snapped. Later that morning, McCaffrey saw both officers crossing a parade square. Calmly and deliberately, he loaded his rifle, and from a distance of 65 yards, he knelt outside K Block, now long since demolished, and took aim. The first percussion cap failed. He did not panic. He reloaded, then fired. The bullet struck Colonel Crofton in the chest, passed straight through into Hanman's arm, travelling to his chest and finally lodging in his spine. Crofton gasped, "Oh my God, I am shot," then staggered away, needing help to reach his quarters. Hanman, eerily composed, clutched his chest and walked back to the officers' quarters, with blood pooling beneath his tunic. Colonel Crofton died at 11 p.m. that night. Captain Hanman lingered until the following Monday at 11:30 a.m. McCaffrey was arrested immediately. His trial was held at the Liverpool Azures that December. This was a foregone conclusion. The defense was feeble. The verdict was inevitable. He was sentenced to death. On Saturday, the 11th of January, 1862, McCaffrey was hanged publicly outside the Kirkdale Gaol in Liverpool. The scene was grim. The crowd was massive, between 30 to 40,000 people, many of them Irish Catholics who felt a quiet sympathy for the young man. According to the Liverpool Mercury, McCaffrey walked to the scaffold with a surprising calm. A faint smile played across his face as he looked over the crowd. He kissed a small crucifix offered by the priest and spoke his final words. Blessed Jesus, Mary and Joseph, I gave you my heart and soul. Jesus, Mary and Joseph, have mercy on me. He kept standing on the trapdoor longer than usual. When the bolt was pulled, he struggled violently. The crowd, shocked and moved, let out cries and sobs. Several women fainted. Thus the ended the life of one of the youngest men to ever to be hanged for military murder. But this story doesn't end with death. McCaffrey's ghost is said to walk still. The spot where Crofton and Hangman Vale, just outside, was known as Block 57, the old officers' mess, and it is now a place of quiet dread. Servicemen and women have reported seeing a young man in 19th century uniform, pale and solemn, drifting through the lower corridors or watching silently from doorways. Some feel sudden chills. Others speak of footsteps echoing when no one is there. The room, once part of the officers' mess where Caffrey was stationed, is said to carry a presence, even in 1910, decades after the murder. A former officer wrote of a chilling encounter in the journal, The Lancashire Lad. He described hearing strange sounds and feeling watched when staying in a room that had once been part of the mess itself. He said, I have gone to bed, and quite in my right mind, he insisted, and did not deserve the witticisms pointed out remarks of the other mess members when they heard about what I experienced that night. Some whisper that McCaffrey remains, not vengeful, but trapped forever, reliving the moment when fate turned his hand against him. Even in death, McCaffrey's story lived in song. Soon after the execution, official efforts were made to glorify the fallen officers with heroic ballads. There was a homemade, forbidden ballad that found its way into the hearts of the Lancashire's Irish Catholic communities. You fired, and you fired, and you fired once more, and 2 proud soldiers fell to the floor. The army is said to have banned the song, but it's been passed on for generations, never printed, always sung. And at Fullwood Barracks, the whispers never faded. Patrick McCaffrey may have died on the scaffold that grey January morning, but his ghost, it seems, never left. Fullwood Barracks still stands to this day. The officers' quarters remain, but somewhere in stone and silence, the past continues to echo, with a rifle's crack and a whisper from the Vale. Now, brief interlude. If you enjoy this channel and the kind of content that I curate, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It is really important. This helps the channels grow, and it helps those content creators, in fact, people you listen to, keep on making the stories that you may like. So please don't forget to hit that bell until you see black, and don't forget to give us the thumbs up too. It really does help. Anyway, let's get back to the stories. This is the Grey Lady of the Cambridge Military Hospital, Aldershot. In the town of Aldershot, long known as home of the British Army, stands what was once one of Britain's most respected military hospitals. The Cambridge Military Hospital, once alive with sounds of marching boots, clattering trolleys, and quiet prayers. Today it is something else entirely. The once empty shell of the hospital has been transformed. It is now home to 140 private cell properties, apartments and houses, developed within the historic buildings and landscaped grounds. While the architecture has changed, some say the past truly never left. Among the stories that linger in these walls was one legend that has haunted the site for more than a century. This is the story of the Grey Lady. She is said to be the ghost of a nursing sister from the Queen Alexandra Imperial Military Nursing Service stationed at the hospital. According to the tale, she accidentally gave a soldier, her fiancé apparently, a fatal dose of medication. Crushed by the guilt, she walked to the upper corridors one final time before leaping from a balcony to her death. From that moment, she truly never left. Her spirit is often seen on the top floor, especially in the corridor between wards 10 and 14. Over decades, countless nurses and patients, and even military police, have described glimpses of her. A figure in grey, always at night, always just beyond reach. The air turns icy cold, the scent of lavender fills the corridor, and there's that eerie sensation of being watched. Staff would go out the way to avoid that corridor at night. Many preferred the long route down the stairs along the ground floor between wards 1 and 7 and back up again, just to bypass that stretch. No matter how high the heating was turned up, the corridor stayed bitterly cold. Witnesses say she is often seen standing beside the beds of gravely ill patients, and not long after they pass away. Some say she's not a figure of fear, but a compassionate spirit offering comfort in their final moments. Others call her a messenger of death. Even after the hospital closed, she remained. One builder in asbestos gear saw her tending to an invisible patient. MOD officers felt her presence on patrol. A physiotherapist followed her down a corridor, only for her to vanish. A nurse saw a figure in grey, but her feet was missing, walking the floor that had long been raised. Soldiers described being held by a nurse who didn't exist. Always seen, sometimes sensed, but never truly gone. She walks the wards that once stood, where young men took their last breaths. The corridors between wards 10 or 14 may now be a designer apartment hallway, but perhaps when the lights flicker, the air grows cold, and lavender drifts in the silence, she still walks the rounds. The Grey Lady of the Cambridge Military Hospital, faithful, tragic, and never truly at rest. Okay, so once again, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into Britain's haunted past, please like and subscribe. It really does help the channel and it ensures these stories or whispers never fade. Have yourself a good night.